I'm Ben Lunzer, board member of Magic and in financial services and technology. And Anika, if you'd introduce yourself, your school, and your grade.
Yeah, for sure. Hello, my name is Anika. I am a junior at Acton Boxford Regional High School, which is in Acton, Massachusetts, and I'm super excited to be here today.
And Ira, as the mentor, if you would introduce yourself.
I'm a software engineer at Google. I'm also the founder of Magic, and I'm the proud mentor of Anika.
Congratulations to you both for quite a fabulous presentation. And we're going to dig just a little bit into the journey. Anika, the time frame. When did you start this, and when did you bring it to a close? How many months have you been involved with this?
I think so far for the Magic program as a whole, I believe it was starting in January, but the actual amount of time that I spent on the app was halfway through the session. So I'd say it's been maybe a little bit over a month that I've been working on the app.
It's impossible. This is astonishing. So I'm going to cut right through any sort of interview formats. I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions, and then Ira and I both are relatively experienced in this space, and I can't wait to tell you that your accomplishments are simply are the other side of incredible. It is. And did you? You've never done coding before?
I had very minimal experience before, so I tried to learn on my own since my school doesn't offer classes, but I didn't get super far with that.
Okay, so suffice it to say, and then I'm going to ask a couple of specific questions. Suffice it to say, and Mentee actually picked up on it. You not only built an app with barely any experience, but you also I had a note, and then it came up in the presentation. You also got the information from web service. The speed of the app is very, very quick. You not only built a self-standing app, but you made calls to a web service. You identified indeed that some of the other steps you want to take are to incorporate other web services to go ahead and enrich this. So the next question I wanted to ask you is, having done this, and again, it is simply incredible. The things that you've identified to do next for the app itself are to reach out to other sorts of other information sources. You're going to come up with more recent, like the Google dependency, for example. There are a couple of other things that certain features that may be available at this point, or things that you want to incorporate sooner than later. Aside from doing a search based on a query, which is what this amounts to, but it's a very, very intriguing thing. As you dig into this, you're going to find yourself quite possibly getting bored doing that kind of inquiry. As you're exploring this, and when you show it to your sister, she may ask for access to other information and for cobbling together pieces of information. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, what are some of the other things you're thinking about doing with this app? Or actually, I think Smirty asked you, what are the kinds of things that as a result of this experience, you'd really like to understand further or do more of?
Yeah, for sure. So as I mentioned before, I don't really have a specific project idea going forward, but something that the Magic program has really helped me with is actually knowing that I can make any projects that I can think of, because especially through, I guess, learning how to search for different things, I learned that if I'm able to find the right tutorial, I can really build almost anything I can think of. I'm sure there are things that I still have a lot of learning to get towards, but I think more than the idea itself, I've come to realize that there's so much that I can build regardless of what the idea is, which has been a huge takeaway from this program.
Before you did this project and before you were a mentee, what were your career goals?
So my dad is in CS actually. So I had kind of considered the career, but I hadn't really had much exposure to it. My interests were kind of all over the place. I was thinking maybe law, interests were everywhere. But I hadn't had much exposure to CS before, so I didn't really know what that looked like. It was just kind of, oh, my dad did it, so maybe I can do it. So coming into this program has really, solidified that I am actually interested in CS and I actually really like it. So my career goals, in short, were like everywhere before, but now I know that CS is what I want to do in college.
Interesting. And what do you have some idea of what area you'd like to go into in CS?
From my understanding, CS as a field is really, really broad. And I don't think that I've had exposure to super like specific portions. So I wouldn't say that I would be able to make a super educated decision yet. I think I want to keep learning and get exposure to those more specific fields and then make a decision.
So I'm going to ask Ira a question, and the question itself is going to incorporate an implicit, if not an explicit, compliment to you, Anika. So Ira, in the workplace, if you had been given a junior engineer to join your group, who within a month was able to create an app like this and be able to comment intelligently on the IDE and its strengths and weaknesses, and produce working code, and have a web service, and all of this functioning and well within a month, would your next step be to clone her and tell everybody else to go home, or might you have other career advice to give a young woman like this?
That's a big question. So no, I would not clone her, because I think different people bring different things to the table. Anika brings her own set of abilities, and those abilities are actually extremely valuable. We didn't talk about, I wanted to say so much in her intro, so we didn't talk about, so there was one meeting, she'd been using Android Studio maybe for 2 weeks, and she came, she showed her app, and she said, this is not working, so we were going to debug something. She brought her the debugger inside Android app, inside Android Studio, which is, to begin with, a slightly complicated IDE for somebody who has never worked with this before, and she'd already used the debugger. She was stepping through it. So she's just insanely good, actually. So at least she has an amazing knack for this. So I would definitely, I don't have to clone her, but I would try to make sure that I would challenge her even more, because I think she can do even more than what she's capable of. And then, of course, I also learned about myself in the process. We always do when you work with somebody. What is it that, when can I kind of step back and let her to take over and make some mistakes, versus when is it something that might get too frustrating? So we had an extra meeting a month before the final event, because we wanted to do GitHub. And this was on a Friday. Either she had off or it was after school. It was a long day for her. We were at it for 1 hour, and we couldn't get it to work because I have a Mac and she has a Windows machine. And so the platforms are different. What works for me doesn't work for her. And so we left the meeting, it's not working. And I was worried because she'd been doing so well. I'm like, I hope she doesn't think that this has anything to do with her. And she didn't. She actually, so one of the amazing skills she has, she goes and asks and makes it work, and she made it work. And she wrote to me that I was able to do it myself. I also did it myself, actually, again, to make sure that I had missed some step. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but no cloning, but challenging her even more, because I know she can do even better than this.
Yeah. Anika, if I can echo Ira's comments, what you're going to find is that all sorts of people bring all sorts of talents and skills to the table. When it comes to what you've manifest, your ability to go ahead and execute so quickly and so well and so thoroughly, and to be so pronouncedly professional about all of this, I share Ira's wish for you that you identify the fact that you can do all these things, and that you certainly seem like the kind of person who's open to all the input that other people will provide, and you can aid and abet and become part of something larger than yourself. And that other piece that Ira alluded to is a further wish, is that knowing that you have these skills are pronouncedly powerful, but your own intellect may you go ahead and use that and leverage that, where these become skills that augment something far more considerable that you're going to bring to bear. I'll speak for Ira, if I may, and for whom I have tremendous regard, that we can't wait to see what your next steps will be. We're honored and blessed that you were part of this magic experience of ours, and then we, in some small way, were part of your journey, and we wish you continued success. On behalf of Magic, Ira and Anika, congratulations on a magnificent journey and a magnificent example of what can be accomplished, and wishing you both all the best in everything that you both can bring to bear.
Thank you so much. I appreciate a lot. And thank you so much for the two of you for making magic happen. I probably would not have been exposed to CS in this way if it hadn't been for this program. So thank you so much.
That is so good to hear, Anika. Ben, thank you for your wonderful comments. I do, it would be, I would feel really bad if I didn't say this, so I have to say this. I do hope that Anika comes back to magic as a mentor. I hope so. So, of course, we'll stay in touch and I'll try to make sure that happens. So we need mentees becoming mentors and coming back full circle. So looking forward to that.
Congratulations to you both. Thank you.